Hello, my name is Alicia Shapiro with AiNews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest developments and discussions in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, I'm joined by Sanjay Puri, an esteemed AI regulations expert, U.S. India relations leader, investor, and advisor, renowned for his pioneering insights into the future of technology and regulating policy. As the host of the insightful podcast Regulating AI, Sanjay delves into the critical conversations surrounding AI's societal impacts, ethical considerations, and the global landscape of AI regulation to ensure that everyone has a seat at the regulation table. In today's interview, we'll explore the depth of Sanjay's expertise and vision, illuminating the path towards responsible and inclusive AI development. Thank you for joining us today, Sanjay.
Thank you so much for having me, Alicia. It's a real pleasure, and I really look forward to a great conversation with you.
Oh, yeah, me too. Considering your extensive experience in the U.S. India relations, how do you see the approaches to AI regulation differing between the two nations, and what can they learn from each other?
Well, in the United States, Alicia, we tend to obviously generally prioritize a more market-driven approach where, we emphasize innovation, in generally industry self-regulation, and try to provide oversight. We already have agencies like the Federal Trade Commission. We have the NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and other agencies like the Department of Justice. We have FDA. We have the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, etc. And so we have all of those. Now, obviously, we have a executive order by President Biden that came out on October 30th, and there have been over 100 bills in Congress talking about building, a framework around AI regulation. But in India, it's more of a centralized regulatory framework, which is generally emphasized by initiatives such as the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence and their proposed Personal Data Protection Bill, which aims to, establish a comprehensive guidelines for AI development and data privacy. So you asked, what can we learn from each other? Well, I think from the US, India can really try to get some insights into how to foster a dynamic innovation ecosystem, because there is no ecosystem like the US. I mean, if you look at the AI companies around, the biggest AI companies, they're generally, most of them, I would not say all of them, are based in the US. And how we leverage our private sector expertise in the regulatory processes. But also on the same side, the US can learn from India's, emphasis on proactive regulation to, address some societal concerns and ensure that ethical AI development happens and deployment happens. And I think both nations can exchange some of the best practice and also harmonize standards for data privacy and interoperability. So I think a lot to be learned, a lot of education and literacy among policymakers and the public can also be gained, Lisa.
Right. That's great. Could you share your insights on the efforts that the United States is making in terms of regulating AI? And in your opinion, is it stringent, overly stringent, or not stringent enough to adequately address the societal impacts involved?
Well, so far, Alicia, we've basically had an executive order. We've also, the approach that so far the US has taken to AI regulation has been to, balance how do we uphold democratic values and enable continuing innovation in this critical field. On one hand, we have agencies like NIST and the Office of Science and Technology and Policy that have developed, the risk management frameworks and ethical AI principles, which are focused primarily on transparency, fairness, and privacy protection. So, but we've so far not taken a big, heavy-handed legislation, which is, comprehensive legislation that a lot of people are talking about. And there are efforts around to do that. And I would say that some critics argue that this light touch approach does not go too far to, rein in some irresponsible AI development, especially in high stakes area like criminal justice and others. So uh, I think looking ahead, we will need a more, I would say, robust rules of engagement, more guardrails, and also aligning with global partners. So, but also staying, innovation friendly and protective of civil liberties.
Right. And speaking of guardrails, where do you think that the United States stands in the global landscape of AI regulation? Are there countries you believe that are setting exemplary standards in AI governments that the United States could learn from?
Well, if you see what's happened with the European Union,
Mhm.
you know, um, regulation right now is still an emerging policy area. And when you look, as I said, the European Union's AI Act, that's the most comprehensive AI legislation that's been put forward by generally a major economy. And again, they have strict rules around, especially on high risk AI and data governance issues. Countries like Singapore have also made strides with their model AI governance framework. And Australia has also adopted some AI ethics principles and AI ethics framework. So that have emphasized public trust and human centered AI. Uh, these are not perfect models, but I think these are regulations that we can learn and also find ways to collaboration because uh, you know there will ultimately have to be some kind of harmonization of different rules and regulations because today companies, Elisa, are global companies. When you look
Hmm.
at most of these companies, they're working in Europe, they're working in Australia, they're working in, South America, Latin America, Africa. If they have to to work with a patchwork of rules and regulations, it's just going to be chaos. So I think there are countries, especially the EU, that we can obviously take parts of it and learn from, but also, figure out ways to collaborate and harmonize.
Yeah, yeah, that would be so important. And,
Yeah.
and considering the balance between ethical AI development and national security needs, how should regulations be crafted to address security concerns without compromising innovation? And what are some key challenges and opportunities that you see could evolve from this?
So this, Alicia, is a very tricky issue because we are living, obviously, as you know, in some difficult times when there is conflict
Right,
there's a lot of conflict around the world. And there is also AI nationalism that is going on where every country, state, non-state, wants now access to it because they probably look back and see the nuclear arms race, and then there is that haves and the have-nots, and a lot of people don't want to be in that have-not category. So
right,
you have started to seeing a lot of activity that is happening, but upholding ethical AI development, while we safeguard national security, really is going to require a calibrated regulatory approach. On the ethics side, the frameworks and certifications should require AI systems to be, rigorously tested for safety, robustness, fairness, and mitigation of societal harms before we deploy them. Um, but national security priorities like defense and intelligence, however, will need some allowances because different countries are not going to operate on the same rules as we do. Uh, but these exceptional AI cases must still have clear ethics checks and face strict oversight and auditing because unchecked AI deployment, even for national security, could at least, you know, undermine our democratic values. So
right.
we need to prioritize ethics while we give exemptions to national security. Even the EU Act has given exemptions to national security. So I think prioritization of ethics is still very, very important.
Right, right. And you've emphasized the importance of including a wide range of voices in AI regulatory discussions. Which groups do you think are currently underrepresented, and how can their participation shape a more inclusive AI policy?
So when we look at the United States, we have societal issues. There are groups that feel that they've been left behind, whether it's on, they believe that the country is focused on the two cores. So I believe that the middle America, I believe manufacturing organizations, I believe community colleges where 40% of our students go to get
Right.
educated. I strongly believe that racial minorities, individuals with disabilities, rural healthcare systems, these are institutions who are going to get impacted mostly in the positive, but their voices need to be heard because they have legitimate concerns about again being marginalized and left behind. And I think we have a digital divide, or we had a digital divide in the United States. We don't want to create this AI divide. So, other stakeholders like labor unions, small business groups, maybe even faith communities should have a seat at the table because AI is applicable everywhere. And if we want our society to come with us, these voices are very critical. It just cannot be big tech companies. And they are very important, don't get me wrong. Big
Right.
educational institutions, they are very important. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, companies in middle America, whether it's in Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, community colleges who are creating pathways for people who can't afford or don't want a four-year education, rural healthcare where uh, there could be an opportunity for democratization of healthcare. And
Hmm.
then those I think need to be there in this process so that they can learn, because there is going to be a transformation of jobs. These
Yeah,
people need to be on the table so that they understand what is coming and we can prepare them for what is coming.
exactly. What do you think that the United States and maybe some of the other nations can do to foster and encourage the participation of these underrepresented groups in shaping the AI regulations?
Well, I think first, a lot of the countries that need to start talking to each other.
Mm,
I understand everybody wants to hold this technology close to the West.
right.
And I think it is understandable. Um, what has happened, Alicia, is a lot of countries believe, in our conversations with countries, that they believe that they will lose their history, their language,
Oh,
and their culture with AI, because
I see
AI
that.
so far is being trained on English language, on
Mm,
American data, American culture. So we need to make sure that that feeling goes away and there is an opportunity for them to create large language models, AI systems in their culture, their language, and then talk about some of these groups and some of these diverse voices, and because I think it's very, very important for them, even though we see that a lot of the global South countries are more aggressive about adopting AI because they believe they can benefit, their citizens can benefit a lot from this.
mm. Exactly. That makes total sense. Yeah. And what considerations are necessary when developing these AI policies to ensure that they positively impact all of sectors of society without, having an increase in existing inequalities?
So, the question obviously is how do we, you know, make sure that we progress and we don't increase the inequality. And that obviously is a very, very important challenge, and this is a challenge for everybody, not just the builders of AI. So obviously, the pace of AI is certainly posing a big challenge, because how do you keep up with that? So it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard to keep up for all concerned in terms of the development. So we need to make sure that we keep up with the pace of development, and we build some ethics frameworks and certifications that AI systems should be, rigorously tested for safety, fairness, mitigation of societal harm, before they are deployed, Alicia. And I think that is going to be very important. And then, we need to make sure that uh, full transparency is there, so that we can assess these systems as they are updated, Alicia.
Right. Yeah, constantly improving is going to be necessary for moving forward, definitely. And I
Absolutely.
would assume that education, AI literacy or whatever they call it, but education
Mhm.
among the policymakers and the public to have these effective AI regulations. But what do you think can be done to support this educational need?
Well, so this is one of our core missions of our organization, Regulating AI, which is a nonprofit. You
Hmm.
know, uh, AI literacy among policymakers, not just policymakers, but civic leaders and the general public, is absolutely critical for, putting together effective AI governance frameworks. And why is that? Well, because the complexity of artificial intelligence is challenging to fully grasp its capabilities, also its limitations and its societal impact, without a baseline technical understanding. So that, I think, is
Yeah.
number one.
Hmm.
Number two, there are fears and misconceptions around AI that, actually come about because of lack of knowledge, which,
Right.
hinder a real productive policy dialogue, because people take, either a very optimistic or an existential threat kind of a position. So
Right.
that doesn't help in any way. As an emerging issue area, you know, let's be honest, these are lawmakers who are dealing with a Ukraine issue, Israel issue, border security issue. They are dealing with inflation. This all happens in the same day or in the same hour, and they don't
Right.
have a much firsthand experience in how to regulate these systems. And then finally, I think public support and trust are really vital for any of these policies to have a democratic legitimacy behind them. So I think AI training for policymakers, which is something that we are doing. We are constantly doing briefings, AI 101. We created a global AI expert network that we are providing to policymakers uh, around the world. And we all need to do public awareness campaigns and multi-stakeholder deliberations. And
Yeah.
also, I think there needs to be, Alicia, an awareness campaign with journalists, because journalists are
Yes.
ones who spread information to the public. So if they are not as well versed in this, I think it's going to be much harder for us.
Do you think the education component is uh, not falling behind, but kind of a leftover thought in terms of, what's already been, the technology's already come out? Is it playing a catch-up game is basically what I would like to know.
Well, I think right now with AI, everybody's playing a catch-up game, even the
Wow.
best experts, because the pace of change that I have seen, and I think most people have seen, I've never seen something evolve, change in such a rapid manner that
Yeah.
it's hard to keep up. But
Right.
having said that, as I said, some base level understanding is really important, because
Yes.
really the benefits of this are available to almost anybody and everybody, whether you are a student, whether you're a farmer, whether you are working a day shift uh, in a manufacturing plant, whether you're a customer service rep. And when people talk about jobs, this will not replace people, but the people who have AI expertise are going to replace the people who don't have AI expertise. So
Yeah,
that's, I think, is going to be very, very important.
right. Exactly. And then you mentioned about global cooperation when it comes to AI governance. Um, what can we do to ensure that there is a cohesive global approach to AI governance?
I think in terms of cohesive approach, I mean, if we take a stance that we encourage uh, other countries to develop uh, their own AI systems that respect and recognize their culture, their
Mhm.
languages, their value systems. I think that'll go a big step because uh, in our conversations with people around the world, there's a fear that that's going to get forgotten because there are
Mhm.
a lot of countries that have hundreds, if not thousands, of years of history, and they're worried about civilizational loss. So I think that's number one. And I think listening to people, I think it's going to be very important. And I think for us, our policymakers, to have collaborative efforts, maybe have teams. I know the United Nations, the OECD, and a lot of groups are doing this work, but uh, I think the United States really needs to also now start taking the lead. Uh,
Yeah,
we have, an election in our country, so we are preoccupied, and also there are several wars, economic issues, but this is not going to wait around for us. So we need a
right.
sense of urgency, a sense of collaboration, and sense of respect and openness for others, and give them the ability to, I think, build their system because their worry is because a lot of the semiconductors, the processing power is controlled in the United States. Their worry is, hey, are we going to be completely dependent on the United States for building these systems? And I don't think that's something that they want to have that
Right.
feeling. And I think we should remove that feeling from them.
Exactly. Well, until you mentioned that today, I didn't even think about that aspect. Like, I knew that there was like a kind of an AI race going on, and everybody wanted their own set of AI, to control in their country. But it never dawned on me, and I guess it's because I'm from America, that
Of course.
the languages that these chat GPTs and other conversational chatbots are trained on, they're like you said, in American English. And it, I never even thought about the impact that it would have from another country's perspective. So that's very fascinating. Yeah, we definitely need to concentrate on that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, because remember, it's not just the language, it's how we interact with each other. That's what
right.
the deep learning is picking up from the training data.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
how we interact with each other is great for us, but might be a little different for people in different parts of the world. So I think that's what they're fearful of.
Exactly.
Because, uh, you know, uh, if the future of education is with this, their children are going to be learning from this, and they might be just learning something that doesn't recognize their contributions in history. I think so, and that's what they're
Right.
fearful of.
Exactly. And that's valid. They definitely need to
Mhm.
be able to protect their culture and everything. So, all right, I'd like to take a moment to get to know you, the person behind your expertise, and hear about your inspirations and interests. Um, so, could you share a story or maybe a person that has significantly influenced your perspective with AI governance and your approach to fostering international collaboration?
Well, it's not one person.
Mm.
It's just, because of my podcast, Alicia, I really have I would say, the privilege, the honor, and maybe just blind luck, uh, to talk to amazing, amazing people that I learn from every day and really makes me humble. So, you know, uh, I have been inspired by, I would say, almost all of them.
Nice.
They come in and they give their perspectives. I've had robotics experts. I've had people from different parts of the world talk about why. We just talked about culture and values, and I was not uh, as well informed as I should have. And to
Mm,
me, that is very, very important. And that's kind of what is driving a lot of me is to make sure that we take this opportunity. This is truly a defining moment because uh, America is the shining light for the rest of the world. But I think we can shine a great light by taking people along with us. And I think that's what I have learned from others who have come in with their fears. And I think if we can really address some of their fears in terms of what this technology can do, how it can be helpful, and it's not our intention to hoard this technology just for
right.
ourselves. I think it is really America's interest to take everybody along because this is going to create a revolution that will hopefully build other countries together with us in terms of prosperity, success, but also peace.
Mm,
Because when there is hopefully a lot of prosperity for everybody, I, at least it's my little hope that peace will prevail because when people hopefully have prosperity, generally they tend not to be focused on other things. So I
right.
really am inspired by people who have concerns, and I'm inspired by people who I talk to who have done some incredible things. We've had people talk about how education is being shaped, a personalized education system. I've been inspired by people who are working to make sure this technology is used to, remove the racial differences that exist within our society using technology like AI, virtual reality, and AR to desensitize people in different circumstances. So I really get that opportunity to talk to and listen to people. So I could name a few, but I think I would be doing really not doing justice to the others that have come. So I truly am lucky and truly uh, blessed in that matter.
Yeah, that's great. It reminds me of a saying that, we all succeed, we succeed when we bring others with us. And I think
Absolutely.
that is a great message for sure.
Yeah,
Well, Sanjay, thank you
absolutely.
so much for sharing your invaluable insights on AI regulation and giving us a glimpse into your personal journey. Your perspectives not only enrich our understanding about the complexities surrounding AI, but inspire us and myself, particularly, to think more deeply about the future we're navigating together. So, thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks, Alicia, and thanks for what you do with AI News.
Mm.
Appreciate your questions. They were very insightful
Oh,
and
good.
really hope to continue the dialogue. So thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. And you can learn more about Sanjay's work at regulatingai.org. And then be sure to subscribe to his podcast, Regulating AI. You can find it on most podcast things, but you could go to sanjaypuri.com/regulating AI podcast. And to our audience, we hope this conversation with Sanjay has shown the critical balance between innovation and ethics in AI and has sparked your curiosity about what's driving tomorrow's technology. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you more conversations that delve into the heart of AI's impact in our world. Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AiNews.com.